Somewhere between the edge of being alive and feeling dead.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be talking about trails that are east of Prince George, BC, and there's just the reference point for this series of videos. You will see that little red rectangle, sort of that's the area that we're going to be focusing, and you'll see each of the trails that we discuss, maybe some video clips, maybe some pictures, and we will have links to each one of those trails. These are all accessible through the map on our website, hiking.princegeorge.tech. But this video is just hoping to give a quick summary of trails that are to the east and what they look like, and just a quick summary. Hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, so the legend for the markers on the map are here. Green is easy, blue is moderate, red is hard, and purple is for accessible trails. Alright, this next one is Tabor Mountain up to the towers. And it's a pretty nice trail. You just park there on the side of Highway 16. You can see on the pullout and make our way up. There's a large trail system on Tabor Mountain. We just followed the maps up to the towers, and beautiful views from the top up there. We just went in the wintertime to snowshoe through there. Lots of great places to snowshoe. Like I said, there's a large trail there, a large network. And we made our way down to Troll Lake as well. But there's just so many options. But I guess the main thing about this summary is just we made it up to the towers and the views that you get. If you want to see all the details, go to that specific video, and hope that works for you. For the Treeline Cabin, it's also up Tabor. It's just another one of the network of trails up there. Don't have any tracks or videos of that yet, just some pictures from a long time ago. Anyways, another great one, and check out the page for that one for more pictures. Moving along to the Grand Canyon of the Fraser, that's also further east. And you just park there on the side. You'll see on the page that has all the details. Anyways, some really nice pictures here. This one, not a whole lot of elevation. It just goes north of Highway 16 towards the Fraser River into a big sort of canyon area where basically pretty tough to get there in the summer, but in the winter when things are frozen over, access is a lot better. And don't have any tracks or videos yet, but lots of pictures, so check that one out. Moving on to the next trail, Sugarbowl Mountain Trail. This one accessible right off the highway. The parking lot's just south, and really steep, really challenging hike, and you don't get to see a whole lot until you get, I'd say, 3 kilometers up the mountain, and then you start to see the couloir that the skiers ski down, and you eventually get up on the ridge just a little bit before 4 kilometers, and really nice views up there. There's a lot of people only go to the first ridge, but then after that, if you keep going, there's sort of a second view area to the east, and then the final ascent up Sugarbowl Mountain. You see a 360-degree view all around you. Really beautiful views, and see the other treks that we'll talk about, the Viking Ridge to Sugarbowl crossover for getting it all. Okay, next we move on to Viking Ridge, and it's actually 3 of them. There's Viking Ridge Point of No Return, and Viking Ridge to Sugarbowl crossover. And this first one, it's, if you do all the ridge lines, it's about 16 kilometers round trip, and really beautiful. They all start right at the trailhead there. You go park on the north end of Highway 16. You'll see the trailhead sign on the south side of the highway. Head up to the meadows. I believe it's just a little bit more than 3 kilometers. You hit the meadows, and after that, if you just continue through the meadows, you head right up to the lake, and that's sort of the second thing you can do for the regular Viking Ridge. The third would be heading right up to the summit, and you'll see there's some cairns up there, and if you really are adventurous, I have a video where I did all the ridges, so you can continue to the east and walk the ridge lines for quite a distance and see multiple lakes and views. Really beautiful. You can basically walk around the whole ridge line around the lake, and that's pretty neat. Okay, next would be Point of No Return, and right at the meadows you will turn to the west and just start climbing up the ridge line. You do get to some pretty neat geological formations there. You get to these rock sections and some really nice views both to the north and south, and you can also look to the west towards Sugarbowl. Lots of great views going up to the point of no return. Really think it's a bit more rough on that trail, but definitely worthwhile. Really neat in the winter to do the entire crossover. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. And this next one is the Viking Ridge to Sugarbowl Mountain crossover. Gorgeous to do in the wintertime. About 16 kilometers. You probably need 2 vehicles for that. It's more of a route instead of a trail. And I guess same could be said for the point of no return. There are some markers there every once in a while, but if you're not good at route finding, you probably will lose the trail. But anyways, beautiful views on this one. Eventually you ascend up and you just get to see views both to the north and to the south. Make your way west towards Sugarbowl. Absolutely a fabulous hike. Really, you want to pick when it's colder temperatures out, just because you get those clear blue skies and the hoarfrost on the trees. And wow, it's just absolutely fabulous. One of our favorites to do in the wintertime. And again, you just start again at the Viking Ridge trailhead. You could do it from the Sugarbowl side if you wanted as well, but it's easier to do it from the Viking Ridge side. Next up, we have West Driscoll Ridge, and there is an old trailhead and a new trailhead. This one we showed the new trailhead. It's just a parking lot on the south side of the highway there, big kiosk sign, at least there is now, in a big parking area. You head up through some large cedar trees and fir trees and whatnot through the forest. Eventually you get to a rocky section, and it's about 10 kilometers a return, I think, up to the lake. And really beautiful area to visit. Kind of gives you that ancient forest, similar type of vibe. And yeah, it's just, there are steep sections, and maybe the trail's probably not maintained as well as some of the others, so you may have some logs and stuff to crawl over. We cut some when we went up, but anyways, it is a decent trail and really nice in the wintertime. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy this little clip. Next one up is the Boulder Creek Nature Trail. This one's just close to the community of Longworth. As you're driving down Longworth, the road to Longworth, there's a set of train tracks and a gravel pit just to the north, and you just essentially go to the northeast corner of that gravel pit and park there, and you'll find kind of a trail hidden to the north of that northeast corner. And eventually, just a short while in, you'll see some signs talking about Boulder Creek Nature Trail and a bunch of signs pointing to the waterfalls. You don't need to go the whole 4 kilometers. It's probably more like 2 kilometers. After 2 kilometers, it's mostly bushwhacking, and you don't really see much after that. So anyways, there is right to when you park at that northeast corner, if you go down to the east to where the creek is right there, and you follow the creek up, that's where the larger waterfall is, and you can only get there in low water season. Alright, so the next trail up is Longworth Lookout in the community of Longworth, BC, and the trail goes north of their community hall. There's a road that just goes north. You can just follow it as far as you can with your vehicle. In the winter, you can only go so far. In the summer, you can go right to the gravel pit and just follow the trail up. It's I think we did sort of an extended version of this hike, so we did over 14 kilometers. We went up to the lookout, and from there we went to the peak north of the lookout, and there's some really nice views there. You'll see in some of the video clips. Anyways, it's a really cool hike. Lots of great 360-degree views once you get up to that fire lookout, and apparently it's going to be rebuilt in the coming year or two, so keep an eye out for that one. Anyways, beautiful view of Baldy Mountain to the east, and you can see across the valley to the south towards Viking Ridge and whatnot. Anyway, really great hike. And the next one is Baldy Mountain, which is just east of Longworth Mountain, and this one is a pretty tough climb. It is about close to 15 kilometers return, and it just beats you to death. It just seems like up and up and up. There's really one ledge where you have a break where it's flat for 5 minutes, but it's a pretty tough hike, and gorgeous views. Once you get up into the meadows, you start to turn around and you can see everything. You can look over to Longworth, you can look across to Sugarbowl and Viking Ridge, and you can see Boulder. Once you get to the summit, you can actually look to the north. You can see the farm, you can see Fang, you can see Torpy, you can see everything from up there. 360-degree views, absolutely gorgeous, really worthwhile the hike. Got to be careful because it's very steep cliffs at the top there, so just keep that in mind. Next up, we have Red Mountain in the community of Penny, BC. There's two ways to get up. We took the Fraser Flats Road to the trailhead. It basically starts far up the trailhead instead of starting way down at Penny. And really, there's no need to do the whole distance. And this way, you can do it in a day trip. So it's a pretty moderate trail, quite well kept, pretty wide. It's in pretty good shape, and it's really popular among skiers in the wintertime. Cabin can be rented up top, and in the summer there are lots of grizzly bears in the area. It used to be called Grizzly Bear Mountain, and just a really cool area to go to. Next trail is Raven Lake. This one is down the Hungry Creek Road. Trail's about 12 kilometers and well-kept trail. It's a moderate difficulty level trail, and just lots of reward for this one. So you head up to the upper section, and you can either continue on straight to the cabin, but we just decided to go up on the ridge and then come down to the lake and to the cabin, and you'll see that in these video clips. There's some camping pads there. There's a cabin you can rent. There's a beautiful lake, and there's all kinds of ridge lines to walk all over the place with just fabulous views in every direction. Really good reward for this one. There's just so much that you can do. It's really popular amongst the locals, and definitely don't want to skip this one. There's a lot to see up on Raven Lake. You can also go to Grizzly Den, but we haven't done that one yet, so we haven't provided a video for that yet. Alright, so the next trail is the farm, and this is down the Pass Lake Road. This one's really popular with skiers in the wintertime because there's a cabin up top and really good skiing conditions. But it's also pretty interesting to do in the summer because once you get up to the cabin, there's some ridge lines you can walk with some fabulous views all around. So really good for both seasons. Pretty hard to pack in the winter because there are lots of steep sections and the snow does get very deep. This is a very deep snow belt area. Both the farm and as well as Torpy and Fang Mountain, they get quite a bit of snow. Anyways, really fabulous area to check out, and hope you guys enjoy these video clips. Next up is Fang Mountain in Evanoff Provincial Park. It's about 12 kilometers return, and just a lot of great features, really popular area to go. Pretty strenuous to climb, and there are some pretty sketchy sections. But anyways, there's a number of caves there, and you really need to be careful if you're planning on doing anything with those caves. There have been a number of problems over the years with people being unprepared. Anyways, once you get up to the top into the alpine meadows, there's lakes up top there, and you can climb up onto the ridge lines. Gorgeous views all around. There's also a small cave up top just above the lake, which has some interesting things. But anyways, you should be prepared for entering those caves. Check out the BC Parks website for all the details. Anyways, absolutely fabulous trail, and easier way to get up to the summit is going the Torpy way up to the summit. Next one up is the Torpy Mountain Trail. Unfortunately, we don't have pictures or a track of doing the Torpy to the summit, but we did go up Torpy and then veered left up to the Fang summit, and much easier to get up to the summit of Fang Mountain going up the Torpy Trail. Really beautiful views, lots of ridge lines, just so much epic things to experience going up this trail. Definitely worthwhile trying it out. You see Torpy Mountain to the east, and you see the farm over to the west, and you can look even south and see Baldy and Longworth and even Viking Ridge. You can see Pass Lake, the farm, everything. It's a pretty cool hike to try. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy the video clips, and yeah, you should try this one. Next on the list is Hedrick Lake. This one's a bit more remote. It's north of the farm and Fang and all those McGregor Mountains in the Driscoll mountain range. Anyways, a really beautiful trail. It's 20 kilometers return. Not too much elevation, but really long distance. Beautiful lake at the end of it, and lots of mountains and meadows and stuff to walk and to check out. There's a cave at the north end somewhere up on the ridge there, and really cool area to check out. Twin Falls is also halfway going up the Hedrick Lake trail. You just branch off to the east and you'll see the falls there, and pretty beautiful spot. Next up is Herrick Falls. It's on a more remote road, even further north, and you just drive off the road and walk down, and on the river there, some nice views of some falls. Next up is Framstead Falls, just on the same road, a little further down, and just off the road you go to the river, and some nice falls there on the river. Next up is Ancient Forest. This is a very popular trail, just a little over an hour east from Prince George. Large parking lot, bathrooms there, plenty of space for campers and all kinds of stuff like that. And it is an accessible trail, at least for part of it. There's a big boardwalk. There's a seasonal waterfall in one section, very large cedar trees, and all kinds of loops you can do. There's various maps at different points on this trail, and it's very well kept, very well visited, and just really large cedars, fir, and typical interior rainforest, really beautiful. So great views of mountains to the north, and really nice place to visit, a must-see. Next trail up is Slim Creek. This one is really only advisable to do in the wintertime, and probably later in the winter, like February, March, when there's been plenty of snow and the swampy areas have been kind of frozen over. Basically, it's you walk through the park, and you get down to some rivers and some nice views to the north. You can also see to the south up the mountain ridge there. But basically, you're just walking through sort of rolling hills in this forest, and there's some very large cedar and fir trees at a certain location. You can check out all the details on the page for this hike. But yeah, basically, it's mostly bushwhacking. There isn't really a trail here, but pretty interesting area to visit. Next trail is the Vineyards. This one takes a little longer to get to. You have to head down the Beauron Forest Service Road to the south, and it's, I don't know, like hour and a half or more just to get to the trailhead, and then to get up to the actual trailhead where you're going to start hiking. There is an incline with kind of deactivated sections, so you probably need 4x4 to get right up there. You can drive part of the way up with just a regular car or SUV, but probably not all the way. Anyway, trail is absolutely gorgeous. It's a must. Beautiful views in every direction, meadows and cliffs and lakes, and it's a really beautiful hike. You can go as far as you want or as short as you want, depending on your fitness level and what you'd like to see. But this one's absolute classic for Prince George area, and don't want to miss it. It's a really enjoyable hike with all the features that it provides. Next up is the Erg Mountain Trail. This one's one of the top 3 most strenuous, very strenuous hikes east. And it is a little bit of a challenge to get to. You have to go down a logging road that's deactivated. Definitely need 4x4 as you're crossing over some creeks with large rocks and then steep inclines and whatnot. Definitely don't want to do this when it's raining or slushy or snowy out. People typically don't go here in the winter. It's just the access is too difficult. Anyways, a very challenging but very rewarding hike. You have to start by crossing over the Ptarmigan Creek, and depending on time of year, it can be a challenge, although you'll see in the video it can be easier to cross lower down the creek. Anyways, you head up some steep inclines up to a meadow, get up to Mary Harper Ridge, which is the first set of cairns, and then finish off by going up to the actual large cairns on top of Erg Mountain. Fabulous views everywhere, and definitely worthwhile hiking this one. Next up is ZigZag Ridge. This one, the trail starts right off the highway. You just park on Crescent Spur Road to the north, and then you just cross the highway to the south, and eventually you'll find an old logging road. And this is not really a well-marked trail. There are some markers here and there, but you definitely will be doing some route finding. Definitely a rough trail, and definitely one of the top difficult, strenuous, very strenuous trails. Anyways, as you find your way up, you end up crossing over some creeks and whatnot, bushwhacking through things. There is parts of a decent trail, I would say, for 2/3 of the way up. You keep following it, and once you get up to the lake, from there you're just kind of an alpine meadow and just absolutely fabulous views. You get nice views of the Kakwa Glacier to the south. You can see Boulder to the east. You can see Erg to the west. You can see to the north all the McGregor Mountains. Very beautiful hike. Definitely worthwhile. You can do summer or winter time for this one. Next up is Morkill Falls. This one is down the Crescent Spur Road, the Morkill Forest Service Road. Anyways, beautiful area. Pretty steep to get down, but you do get some gorgeous views of the falls there and some caves, crevices and whatnot. Really mossy, really slippery. There's ladders, ropes. So anyway, a pretty cool place to check out. Next up is the Goat River Trail. This one has a tram that crosses over the Goat River. I believe it's one way, about 4.5 kilometers. And it's a nice trail to check out. Next up is Boulder Mountain. This one is right off Highway 16. You can go down the Goat River Forest Service Road. In the wintertime, that road isn't plowed, so you may have to park right there and go an extra about 1.5 kilometers to the trailhead. Anyways, fabulous trail, well marked. Once you get up to the meadows, it's a little bit harder to find the trail, but absolutely gorgeous views up here. You can go winter time or summertime. It's about, I think, 16 kilometers return. And once you get up to the ridge lines, absolutely beautiful. Be careful for avalanches in the wintertime. Make sure you pick your routes carefully, but definitely a worthwhile hike. You get great views of ZigZag Ridge to the west as well as Erg. And looking to the east, you look towards McBride. Looking to the south, you see Mount Ryder. Just really beautiful views. You can see Mount Sir Alexander from up there as well. Definitely worthwhile. Next up is the Kristi Glacier. This one is in the McBride area and down the Door Forest Service Road. It's about 7 kilometers one way and just a beautiful area. Big Kristi Glacier there with streams flowing down, waterfalls, bridges. It's got everything you want in a gorgeous hike. Most of the hikes around McBride will be like this. Absolutely fabulous area. But we don't have any videos for this one. Plan to get in there this summer, hopefully make some. But some nice pictures here. Next trail up is the Ozalenka Trail, also just south of McBride down the Door Forest Service Road. 7 kilometers one way. There is a cabin there that can be rented, and another gorgeous area. Lots of great views and lake up there. Streams flowing down, waterfalls, bridges crossing over, large meadows, and just fabulous alpine views. A definite must to check this one out. Next one up is the Eagle Valley Trail, south of McBride down the Door for Forest Service Road, about 8.5 kilometers one way. There is a cabin there that can be rented. There's a nice glacier there and lake there and creek flowing and waterfalls and meadows. Absolutely gorgeous area to check out as well. Like I said, like most of the trails around McBride, definitely want to check it out. Next up is Belle Mountain Trail. This one is about 8.5 kilometers and can drive up quite a ways up the mountain. Popular area for snowmobilers. There is a cabin up top. Beautiful views of glaciers and alpine meadows. You can see sometimes grizzly bears and goats and elk and deer and stuff like that. So anyways, nice little trail to check out. Next up is Paradise Ridge. This one's easily accessible from the road just north of McBride. I think it's Mountain View Road, and trailhead sign is right there. Plenty of parking, and the first part of the road's like a quad trail, but don't let that fool you. This trail is a pretty strenuous hike. It can be done in the winter or summer. Just need to watch out for avalanche dangers in the winter. But there is a cairn at the first ridge, and then the second ridge is sort of to the northwest. Much larger cairn there. You can follow the ridge line to the east towards Mount Ian Munro. And you could probably walk all the way over to McBride Peak, given enough time. But anyways, a really beautiful area, great views of the city of McBride. And to the north towards the Kakwa area, absolutely beautiful hike. Next up is Lucille Mountain. This one has a snowmobile cabin in the Alpine there. You can drive all the way up into the Alpine if you have a good 4x4 vehicle. Otherwise, you'll have to park lower down. But anyways, you can go anywhere from 10 to like 17 or 18 kilometers return, go as far as you want. You're up in the Alpine there when the trail really starts, and it's just nothing but gorgeous views all around. Glaciers everywhere. You can see Mount Chevron to the sort of southeast, and looking towards Eagle Valley. You can look towards Ozalenka. You can look towards Belle. You can see the city of McBride. Just very beautiful area. Lots of places to explore up there in the Alpine, and really worthwhile. So we did a few different summits. We went past Lucille to the next peak, sort of to the south, but anyways, this is definitely a great hike to go on. Next up is McBride Peak. This one requires a 4x4 vehicle. To get up to the trailhead, you pretty much drive most of the way up the mountain into the Alpine, right to like a cell tower, but you can get there with an SUV with careful driving skills. Anyways, once you get there, you just follow the road up to the gazebo there that overlooks the city of McBride, and you can just go as far as you want. We went something like 12 kilometers, I think, return, but really you can just go as far or as short as you want. You're basically up in the meadows. You're not really bushwhacking anymore. You're just walking ridgeline meadows, and just gorgeous views in all directions. There's lakes in different areas depending on how far you decide to hike. You can see Congregational Peak to the north, and definitely a worthwhile hike. This one's super high value for the effort you put in. It's not really hard work. It's just if you can drive up to the top is the key. Kakwa Provincial Park is the next one. This one is basically what Jasper National Park was 100 years ago. Just an absolutely epic place to go. It is hard to get to. You have to go down the Walker Forest Service Road, probably 65-70 kilometers till you get to the Bastille Bridge, and then you park there, and then you have a 30-kilometer trek into the park, and you will have to do at least one creek crossing at Buchanan, which at the right time of year is not so bad, but you basically want to go August or later. Otherwise, it can be very cold and very deep and fast flowing. Anyways, I can't really show a specific trail. There's many trails there. The page that we have talking about Kakwa has tracks for various places, links to other websites. Absolutely fabulous, essential area to check out. Definitely want to put it on your list for multi-day. There's a cabin there at the end, and great fishing, great hiking, great everything. And you probably won't see many people out there because it's pretty remote, but it's fabulous. Definitely want to check it out. Next up is the Natural Stone Arch Trail. This trail starts off in the valley floor, follows the Holiday Creek all the way up, and it's a very strenuous hike. You'll see ropes there, and definitely very steep, very narrow. On a hot day, you'll get baked to death because up in the higher elevations, there's no more vegetation to really protect you. Definitely don't want to do it in rainy weather, slippery weather, because there's just nowhere to grip. And anyways, a really awesome trek. You'll probably see goats up there, and definitely worthwhile doing this one. You'll really enjoy the views. To the south, you'll see Dunster, and to the north, you'll see the peaks with goats there. You'll see the Natural Stone Arch, and a really worthwhile hike. Next trail up is the Groeneveld Trail. It is basically butting up right against the Natural Stone Arch Trail, only it goes to the east. This is another strenuous grind. Beautiful views up top. Once you get up into the Alpine Meadows, you'll see maybe some goats up there, and just beautiful views all around. Dunster to the south. You'll see the Natural Stone Arch area to the west, and definitely worthwhile. Don't have a video on this one, but Gerald does on Trekking with Taz, so you can check that out. Next trail up is the Dunster Trail. This one accessible by car or anything. It's pretty easy to just drive up to the trailhead. It is a strenuous trail, but wow, is it ever beautiful. If you push your way, eventually you make your way up to a viewpoint. I think it's like maybe 2-3 kilometers, something like that. And you look back on Dunster and towards McBride. It's absolutely beautiful. Then you get to a rock area. You do some boulder hopping. Eventually you make your way up to a plateau, and you've got Bob Lake there. You've got a cabin there that can be used. I believe go to the Dunster General Store to reserve that one. Continue to the south, and you kind of go up on a ridge line. You overlook the Roche Valley. Absolutely gorgeous there. You can make your way up either to the east or west. There's two summits you can do. We went to the east, went up that summit, looked down on the lake, and it was absolutely fabulous. Definitely don't want to miss this one. Visit Dunster. It's a great place. Next up is the Blueberry Lake Trail. This trail is really cool to do. You can do it both a day hike or you can do multi-day up there. You get access to the Great Divide Trail through here. It's a nice lake up top with some campsites, gorgeous views of Mount Chown and Mount Bess to the east. And to the west, you can go towards the Perseverance route. You can go down the Great Divide Trail into the Jack Pine Pass. There's just so much here that you can enjoy. We did a 20-kilometer day, 10 kilometers up, 10 kilometers back, doing a big loop. Really wasn't too bad, and really, really beautiful spot. Just access to raw backcountry, just so many options here. It's a definite must from our perspective. And just you can go east all the way towards Mount Robson, and you can go west all the way towards Kakwa Provincial Park. Definitely check it out. Next trail is the Terry Fox Trail in Terry Fox Provincial Park. This one has an old trailhead and a new trailhead, and in these little video clips we went up the old and down the new. Didn't get to the summit just because of blisters, but wasn't too far from where we turned around. Anyways, we went I think about 16 kilometers, but I think it's like 19 or 20 kilometers if you go right to the end. But anyways, definitely way up there in the Alpine. This is one of the most difficult hikes you can do, up there in the top 3, but definitely worthwhile. It's absolutely beautiful. Pick your weather window appropriately, just because you are exposed for a lot of the trail. And there's not any water sources if you go up the old trail after you go past the cell tower. There is a lake there, but after that you get great views of Mount Robson. And for us, we did we took a vehicle and bikes, and we dropped bikes off at the new trailhead, drove to the old, and then drove our bikes back when we finished. Anyways, a great hike. And the next trail is the Swift Current Creek Trail. This one you can do both day hikes or multi-day. Day hike you can get to the BC Parks Cabin, about 10 kilometers up, I think it is. Anyways, yeah, right at the top of the gravel flats where the river becomes very narrow. And it's pretty challenging in the summer to cross the braids of the Swift Current Creek. It's very cold, very deep and fast flowing at some points of the year, so you'll have to watch for that. But you can do it in the winter, you can do it in the summer, you can do single day, multi-day. It's a beautiful area, but you will have to do route finding. So anyways, after you get past the, if you're going to do multi-day and go past the north end of the braids, you definitely will need to do route finding quite a bit there. It's a lot more rougher terrain to get to the head wall, and above the head wall there is an alpine lake and glacier, so you should be careful there. Definitely gorgeous area to check out. Next up is the Mount Robson Trail. I really don't feel like I need to say much about this. There's so much information online, so many videos, but it's definitely one of the jewels of British Columbia. Absolutely gorgeous trail, probably the most visited trail in Canada, maybe, I don't know, could be, it would rival Jasper and Banff anyway. Lots of campsites and whatnot. The trail has been washed out 3 years ago through some flooding, so you can only get up to Whitehorn right now, but pretty soon in the next year or two you should be able to get all the way up to Berg Lake again. Very gorgeous trail. And like I said, not much to be said. There's so many options, so many places you can go, so many side trails. Mountain climbers go here, hikers go here, skiers go here, everyone, both in winter and summer. So anyways, enjoy this one. Definitely check it out. The Moose River Trail is the next one, and this one is a pretty remote section of Mount Robson Park. It's more of a route than a trail. There is a trail there, and some people use this to get to the Great Divide Trail to connect into it. There's definitely river crossings there if you want to go any distance past the waterfalls. Waterfalls about 11 kilometers up the trail, and it's not really a steep trail for the most part. It's flat. I think the first section, maybe the first couple kilometers, there's up and down, but after that you're just kind of following the river at that point. And there's a number of campsites out there and gorgeous views all around. Definitely raw backcountry. We did like both single day and multi-day, winter, summer. All comes down to your preparedness, and so much to explore in this area. So many gorgeous places. It's kind of hard. It's almost like talking about Mount Robson Berg Lake Trail. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy this one. Check out the videos for all the details, and definitely worthwhile to go on this section. And our last trail in the series of trails east of Prince George will be the Mount Fitzwilliam Trail. It's also in Mount Robson Provincial Park, south of Highway 16. You park, I believe, on the north side, and really beautiful trail. It has, I believe, 2 campsites, one in the middle and then an upper one, which is in the basin, and you can summit Mount Fitzwilliam if you have the ability and skill to do that. But definitely this is a beautiful area, beautiful hike to go on, definitely a strenuous, more advanced trail, but something that you should consider looking at. Anyways, this list of trails is not all of the trails that exist. It's just the ones that we have taken pictures and videos and whatnot, and we'll add more in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the series of trails east of Prince George up to the Alberta border, and hope you have a good one.